Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Brear, and welcome to episode 79 of the 11FS FinTech Insider Breakfast Show. In this show, we bring you the best and the brightest from around the fintech and banking landscape every single weekday straight into your homes at 8:30 BST, here, live, and on LinkedIn. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by Sigga Sigurdardottir. Is that right? Did I get it?
Correct.
Yeah. I nailed it. There was lots of practice happening at the weekend, Sigga. I wanted to make sure I got that right. Who is the Chief Customer Officer at Tesco Bank. So on this morning's show, what we're going to be doing is talking about the impressive line of initiatives actually that Tesco has implemented during the lockdown, and actually the customer-centric strategy that Tesco Bank employs as well. So good morning, Sigga. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing great. Delighted to be here today on your show. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's good to catch up. As always, guys, over on LinkedIn, we love getting your questions and your comments. So if you've got any questions for Sigga as we go through this, then drop them over on LinkedIn and we will weave them into the conversation as we go. So I guess, Sigga, for most people in the UK, I mean, they know Tesco for being a gigantic supermarket, but maybe many don't know Tesco for being a bank. I mean, for those guys who don't know that, can you give us a bit of an introduction to Tesco Bank and actually the range of services that you guys do there?
Yeah, great. So Tesco Bank is essentially the financial arm to Tesco. And at our heart, we are a grocery company. But what we do is we provide financial services to our Tesco shoppers. So we offer a range of products and services from lending to savings to insurance products, as well as payments and money services product. Just to give you an example, we, for example, have the 4th largest credit card book in the UK, and our credit cards offer our Tesco shoppers points both when they shop in Tesco as well as when they shop outside of Tesco.
That's impressive. As like you say, that the size of that book is pretty impressive, isn't it? And tell us a little bit about your background as well, because obviously you've been at Tesco now for, is it just under a year? Is that right?
Yeah, well, I joined in November of last year. So my role at Tesco Bank as a Chief Customer Officer is a newly created role within the bank, with a real view of creating a clear focus on the end-to-end customer strategy and delivering seamless customer experiences for our Tesco shoppers. So my responsibility is all of the banking products, the end-to-end customer experience, as I mentioned, data and analytics, marketing, innovation, digital, as well as first line of credit and operational risk as well.
Impressive. And tell us a little bit about your background, because you've been, I mean, this is by no means your first role in the sort of digital banking sphere. You've done some pretty impressive things in incumbents and actually building new players as well.
Yeah, that's correct. So originally from Iceland, that's where my name comes from. And after graduation in the States, I went to undergraduate to the US. I came back home to Iceland actually and spent 6 years in the publishing industry in Iceland in the 90s, when newspapers still had 40–50% circulation. And we were grappling with the problem of what will this internet do to our business model. And one of the things that I did back then was launch a news portal to the Icelandic market, a digital version of our content, if you like. I then went back to school. I went back and did my MBA in Barcelona, and then I spent 14 years with American Express, pretty much around the world in customer-led marketing and transformation roles. I spent a couple of years in Australia, a couple of years in Singapore, and a chunk of time in London. And the last 3 years with Amex, I was in the emerging payment division in New York. And then I came back to London and joined Santander, and the last 4 years before joining Tesco Bank were with Santander, setting up their innovation division, really focusing on helping them think through how do we turn this organization into a more customer-centric organization, and partnering and opening up the ecosystem to working with fintechs and startups. And to your point earlier, one of the things that I did there was to set up a standalone fintech on the side, really kind of developing it from scratch on new technology stack, focused on helping small businesses manage their money.
Yeah, and that's a pretty. I mean, I didn't. We've spoken a number of times before. I didn't realize you traveled so much. That's an amazing amount of array of places that you've lived. Then, so I mean, where was your favorite place to sort of move to?
So I always get that question, and I think every place had its own specialty. And I love traveling, as you can kind of see from how I've led my career. I mean, Australia is a phenomenal place to live and work. I lived in Manly, which is right on the beach. Took the Sydney ferry into work, which is just amazing. But then being in Singapore, you were able to kind of hop around and travel around Southeast Asia. You go to Bali for a weekend, as an example. So just I've been lucky to live in all of these incredible places.
Wow. I mean, so anybody who's been affected by COVID and not being able to travel, then it's probably you more than anybody, isn't it? So how have you found this period in terms of lockdown then? Because I mean, both in terms of you personally, but also Tesco Bank, how have you guys worked remotely?
Yeah, so personally, it's been quite an adjustment. Used to travel up to Edinburgh, where our headquarters are, every week, and I've been kind of at home in lockdown since March, more or less. Although things are easing up a little bit, and so on a personal level, just adjusting to doing homeschooling with a couple of teenagers and juggling kind of work and life. It becomes much more messy in this way, kind of this work-life blur and working out how to make it all work. But it's actually I'm lucky. We've got a nice garden. The weather's been lovely in London. So on a personal level, it's been quite good. And in terms of Tesco Bank, I mean, it's amazing. I'm so proud of the team and the people, how we were able to adapt pretty much overnight, moving to a fully remote working setting. And we happen to be using Microsoft Teams prior, but we were pretty face-to-face organization and lots of kind of meetings internally. And we've now we were literally overnight able to move the whole entire headquarters into remote setting. And then we also, in a very short space of time, set up a chunk of our call center colleagues online. We are a kind of digital and direct bank. So in that way, we were pretty quick to respond to it. But we also have had people coming into the office as key workers, and in that way we worked a lot around making sure we created the right social distancing rules and cleaning and making sure we took very good care of our employees. And kind of maybe just the other thing that was really important is stepping up communication, making sure that we're really interconnected and as a team. And it's been just amazing how people have shown their resilience and adapted during this period.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it is amazing the sort of lessons through that period, isn't it, as well? Because it seems, I mean, there's not many people that I talk to that their organizations haven't sort of maintained productivity through this period, even though, I mean, everybody's going through very stressful periods, not just from a business perspective, but personally, on a personal front. So it is an amazing time. People really seem to have mucked in and made the most of it, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of the speed of things that we've been able to deliver at during the crisis, I think there's a lot of things that we learned through this that we're now looking at. How do we actually, what is our operating model in the future, and how do we really bottle up this agility and speed of operating, speed of decision making, empowering the teams? Absolutely. Incredible work that's happened over the last few weeks.
Well, and you guys, I mean, as like say, a part of a much bigger group, Tesco have done a huge amount, really, I mean, keeping Britain fed during the peak of this pandemic, really, in terms of everything that's been going on, which is obviously a critical part of that. But I mean, the bank had a part to play in that as well, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of, I mean, if you're just so proud of Tesco, if you look at kind of how we've been focused on feeding the nation throughout the crisis, doubling our kind of online slot in a matter of weeks, but we've also, as a business, played a part in that, in providing little helps to our customers. A couple of great examples is we launched swiftly a volunteer e-gift card for our customers that were in kind of with shielding or in isolation. So being able to email a gift card to someone that's going to go do your shopping, whether that's your family member or a volunteer, that is one innovation that we've driven at speed. Another really great example is how we've been supporting the schools throughout the crisis, offering gift cards to children of vulnerable families, and we've who have been receiving school lunches, and we've had over 2,000 schools participating, and we estimate, I think it's about 30 million lunches that we're going to be delivering by the end of the summer. So those are just a couple of great examples how the team have come together in delivering excellent value for our Tesco shoppers.
Amazing. That's a lot of school children getting fed at that point, isn't it? Which is great. And as you say, it's through this period of time, it's been almost those things you wouldn't think about directly being the impact of this, isn't it? There's a lot of children where actually the school lunches. It was Marcus Rashford, didn't he? Did a lot on sort of pushing this to make these type of things happen. And it is amazing to see, you know, really big organisations doing their part to move it forward. I mean, as you mentioned, credit cards is a big part of Tesco Bank, and actually the travel money service is a big part as well. But obviously, people aren't traveling recently. You know, there hasn't been a lot of reasons to sort of get travel money. But that part of the business has evolved a little bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, overnight, pretty much the demand for travel money completely vanished, as you can imagine. But we were able to, in a very innovative way, think about how do we use that capacity and capability to deliver value to our shoppers during this crisis. So we launched a home delivery of cash services to people that were shielding, who needed cash and were not able to go outside. So just another great example of how we've evolved our thinking around delivering value to customers throughout this period.
Fantastic. I've got an interesting sort of question coming from LinkedIn. Actually, so Paul Loberman says, so from your experience of SMEs, because obviously with what you've done with Santander previously, you've got a great experience over the sort of SME market. With your experience with SMEs and fintech and with businesses impacted by the crisis, what do you think the future of digital financial services really looks like for business owners? I mean, that's another half an hour in itself right there, right? But what do you think? Do you think the SME market will have to evolve?
Absolutely. And so, I mean, a lot of the things that I was working at Santander was exactly thinking through small businesses hadn't been serviced well in the past by banks. Access to finance was difficult. And so you're already seeing kind of new players coming in and fintechs in that space, really thinking through solving the problem of providing easy access to finance in a digital way, so you can go from click to cash in a matter of minutes versus the long processes it would have taken before. But also the use of open banking and being able to consume data in an easy and seamless way to stay on top of the finances. There's so much innovation happening in that space, and that will just accelerate throughout the crisis.
It does feel that way, doesn't it? It feels like there's a lot of, I mean, A, there's a lot of capital rolling around to try and fix some of these problems, but B, I mean, that SME market is the market that, I mean, materially drives GDP, doesn't it? So you kind of feel with everything Mr. Sunak is doing, then you kind of feel like those guys will be where a lot of that investment goes. But I mean, speaking of customers, I mean, what changes have you seen with your customer base over this period of time? Because I mean, the conversations that I've had with, you know, CEOs of bank or people who look at you know, CCOs of various organizations, is the patterns of behavior is very much changed.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the kind of headline is a significant acceleration in the use of digital services. I think, you know, if you look at any industry report, they're probably talking about a 5-year acceleration in a matter of weeks. It's just phenomenal. So as I mentioned before, we at Tesco, for example, we doubled our online shopping capacity in just 5 weeks, and the demand has definitely kind of increased significantly. And we're also seeing just acceleration of the use of digital services in the bank from people that might not have been comfortable with using online services in the past. The other thing that we're seeing, you know, we obviously have one of the biggest ATM states in the UK. There's been a decrease in the takeout of cash during the crisis, both because people were just not in as much need and staying at home, but also a need for more contactless payments, and people preference moving to wanting to use contactless payments. So kind of as a result of that, we increased the value of our contactless payments from 30 to 45, and we've seen a significant use of that. But also, we offer a digital wallet, Pay Plus, that has a £250 limit on the wallet, and it allows you with one tap to collect your club card points and pay. we've seen a big acceleration in the usage of that wallet, and so that's a trend that will continue to grow.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it? I mean, do you think because almost as you say, the acceleration of the need for real digital, and not, me and you've talked about this in the past, but not sort of just the digitized pieces, but truly digital capability in those organizations. For me, it's going to be interesting to see whether the missing ingredient was necessity. Now that people have used it, will they see the light and see the benefit of it, and therefore not go back to physical money or picking up the phone or whatever? So, I mean, do you think that trend will stick right now?
So I think there's definitely going to be a kind of an acceleration of that trend, although we are seeing with the ease of lockdown, ATMs coming back, more usage of that. So there will be, I mean, we fundamentally think around our customers will still want to have free ATM access when they go and shop at Tesco. Throughout the crisis, we saw a lower volume, but a much higher value. So if you think about the shopping experience, people were not going as frequently, but they were going and buying big, a much bigger grocery shopping, doubling the basket size from before. And we saw the same trend with the ATMs. Now, some of that, as things ease up, will change again. So I think there will be a continued need for ATM services, but there will absolutely be an acceleration of people wanting to adapt to more contactless and digital technologies.
I agree with that. I mean, something that you touched on a second ago, and there's a question actually on LinkedIn from Christina Phillip. I mean, how do you think the future of the office will change going forward, particularly for design product teams who are used to working face to face? Because, I mean, as you say, in this period, Sigga, we've sort of learned that people work very, very, very effectively remotely. But I've said it a few times on the show, I think culture can be maintained remotely, but I'm not sure it can be created in the same way remotely. So do you think you'll start using office space in a different way going forward?
I absolutely think that's going to be the case. I do think people, we all miss the kind of social interaction, and you can do a lot more digitally than we probably all thought before the crisis. But I think there will be a trend in really rethinking the use of the office space. How do you use it? When do you get together? When do you need to be together, and for what purposes? So, for example, kind of big design work, you might want to come in and do some co-creation. Team building, you probably want to do that more. Although we've been doing a lot of it in an online setting, you definitely want to come back and get together as a team and go for a meal or things like that. But I fundamentally think that a lot of companies are thinking through how do we use the office space differently in the future.
I mean, it opens up such great opportunities from a recruitment perspective as well, doesn't it? You can there's going to be parts of the country that actually can now become hubs, because actually you can do that really effectively. So again, I think it always comes back to the baseline of the culture, doesn't it? And actually, if you can maintain that, then it's a really great thing. I mean, maybe if we touch on for a second, because we're rapidly running out of time. Sigga, we'll definitely have to get you back in a couple of weeks' time, because I've got 1,000 more questions I'd like to talk to you about. But in terms of the alignment between Tesco the group and Tesco the bank,
yes,
talk a little bit about how the strategy is sort of intertwined, because I mean, Tesco Bank has got Tesco the group has a huge customer base, doesn't it, in terms of the loyalty, the brands, and actually is very famed for its use of data, the club card points and everything that sort of comes with that. I mean, how does Tesco Bank fit into that strategy?
Yeah, so we are definitely on a journey, as in Tesco Bank was born as a joint venture with RBS and was run quite independently until relatively recently, where the journey we are on now is being less like a bank and more like Tesco. And Tesco is a phenomenal organization, to your point, the scale, the 3,000 stores around the country, the 16 million club card members, the volume of payments that go through on a daily basis. And what we are doing now is coming much closer together in collaboration and thinking through the lens of the customer, the Tesco shopper needs. How do we collectively deliver the right experiences? And we have a fundamental role to play there as a bank in helping our shoppers manage the money a little better every day. And, you know, a great example of that is a group proposition that we launched at the end of last year, Clubcard. Sorry, it's the loyalty program that we launched at the end of last year, which is a subscription program built on Clubcard, delivering the best value for our customers on a daily basis, and taking benefits from the shops, benefits from the mobile business as well as from the bank, and really putting it together in a fantastic value proposition for our customers.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I think when I stand back and look at it, it's like, I mean, you guys are a supermarket with a bank, and if you look at it that way, everything that Tesco does is incredibly consumer centric, is incredibly focused on delivering value and consistency and value. And in a world where actually most big banks are leaving the high street, you guys have got more. I mean, you don't have to go more than 10 minutes in any direction in pretty much any city, and you find a Tesco Metro. So in a world where the big banks are leaving the high street and you guys have got a sort of perma presence there, that concentric circle between the supermarket and the bank can get bigger. And I think personally, I think that's such a massive opportunity. It's actually the people who are primary in something else, bringing what they're fantastic at doing into banking, that's probably more threat to the big banks than fintech is themselves. So, I mean, that spells like a lot of opportunity in the next couple of years, Sigga.
Definitely. I mean, certainly there's a lot of interesting propositions that we're working on at the moment that you'll see the light of day later in the year. So just watch this space.
Fantastic. I love a bit of foreshadowing. We'll have to get you back. We'll have to get you back on at that point to talk about it more. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, and we better let everybody go and get on with their days. But we'll definitely get you back into to talk a little bit more. We'll definitely get you back in when those things start coming to the market. But phenomenal to catch up. Really, really great to chat to you again. Where can people learn a little bit more about what you're up to, and both you personally and Tesco Bank as well?
So personally, I'm on LinkedIn, so you can follow me there. But Tesco.com and tescobank.co.uk, as well as Tesco Bank and Tesco on all of the social media channels. See what we're up to.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for coming on, Sigga.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, David.
No problem. All right, guys. Well, that's what we have for you today, but we will be back tomorrow where I've got Jigar Shah, who is the COO of Rational FX. Going to be a super interesting show. Really interesting company. They're quite low profile, but do such a phenomenal job in terms of the products that they're actually building. So let's see what he has to say tomorrow. Right. That's all we have for you today, though. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. Goodbye.